The upscale clothing boutique stood prominently at the corner of a bustling city street, its sleek glass facade gleaming beneath the afternoon sun. Known for its exclusive designer collections and elite clientele, the store represented a symbol of status and success. Inside, everything was immaculate. Polished marble floors reflected the soft glow of ambient lighting, and meticulously arranged racks displayed garments whose price tags exceeded most people's monthly rent. This was not simply a store, it was an experience, one that catered to the city's affluent and fashionable. For Garrett Lewis, the boutique's manager, the store was a reflection of his own sense of accomplishment. In his early 40s, Garrett was sharply dressed, his salt and pepper hair slicked back to reveal a chiseled face that rarely softened. He took immense pride in maintaining what he often referred to as a high-class establishment. He had spent nearly 2 decades climbing the retail ladder, and now, entrusted with the management of this prestigious boutique, Garrett viewed the store as a testament to his refined taste and ability to cater to the elite. Garrett's version of customer service, however, came with caveats. In his mind, an ideal shopper was someone who looked successful. That typically meant polished appearances, expensive suits or designer dresses, fine jewelry, and more often than not, white. When someone entered who didn't fit this mold, Garrett's interest waned. He offered them perfunctory greetings at best and frequently assigned junior sales associates to handle them, if anyone at all. On a crisp afternoon, Garrett stood near the register, his practiced gaze scanning the room. A sophisticated couple had just stepped through the entrance, the man adjusting the lapel of his tailored blazer, while the woman admired the elegant displays. Garrett greeted them with a gracious smile and gestured for one of his best associates to assist them. He was already contemplating how to upsell them on a few exclusive pieces from the boutique's latest collection. The soft chime of the entrance bell interrupted his thoughts. Another customer had entered, but this one didn't command his immediate attention. She was dressed simply in jeans, a soft charcoal sweater, and clean white sneakers. Her curly hair was pulled back neatly, and she carried herself with quiet confidence. Her dark brown skin glowed under the boutique's gentle lighting, but Garrett's gaze barely lingered on her before he dismissed her presence entirely. This woman was Camille Johnson. What Garrett didn't know was that Camille was not just another passerby. She was a highly successful entrepreneur who had recently acquired the very building housing the boutique, and, as part of a broader business acquisition, Camille was now the new owner of the boutique itself. Yet none of the staff, including Garrett, knew this. Camille had deliberately chosen to visit unannounced, blending in rather than making an official introduction. She wanted to observe the boutique in its natural state, to see how it truly operated when no one was trying to impress the new boss. As she wandered through the store, Camille noted the atmosphere immediately. It was subtle, but unmistakable, the selective attention from the sales associates, the way certain customers were welcomed warmly while others, like herself, were quietly ignored. She was no stranger to this type of discrimination. As a black woman who had built a multi-million-dollar real estate and investment portfolio, Camille had encountered these moments more times than she cared to remember. But today was different. Today, this store was hers. She walked slowly, running her fingers over the luxurious fabrics displayed on a nearby rack of evening gowns. From the corner of her eye, she noticed Garrett entertaining the well-dressed couple, his demeanor warm and enthusiastic. Camille smiled faintly to herself, unbothered by his indifference toward her, at least for now. But then Garrett's gaze landed on her again. This time, it lingered. As Camille made her way toward an exclusive section in the back of the store, cordoned off by a velvet rope, Garrett's demeanor changed. His jaw tightened, and the casual confidence he had exuded earlier was replaced by something colder, more suspicious. He stepped away from the couple and intercepted Camille before she could proceed further. "Excuse me, miss," Garrett said, his tone professional but edged with condescension. "Are you finding everything you need?" Camille met his gaze calmly. "I'm just browsing," she replied with a polite nod. Garrett didn't move. His stance became more assertive. "This area of the store is reserved for our high-end clientele," he said. "Perhaps I can help you find something more suitable for your budget." The implication hung heavy in the air. Camille's expression didn't falter. She had been here before, in restaurants, in boardrooms, at airports. Places where people like Garrett made snap judgments based on appearances. But today, she was not going to let it pass unnoticed. "I appreciate your concern," Camille answered evenly. "But I'm quite fine." Garrett hesitated for a moment, as if debating whether to push further. Then, lowering his voice but making no effort to hide his suspicion, he added, "We've had incidents in the past. People wandering into areas they can't afford. His eyes flickered toward Camille's casual attire. "So you think I'm here to steal something?" Camille asked quietly. Garrett flushed, but stood his ground. "I didn't say that. I'm just ensuring our policies are followed." Camille's patience had limits, but she wasn't about to create a scene. "Not yet. I'd like to speak with the owner," she said, her tone calm but authoritative. Garrett gave a short, dismissive laugh. "The owner? I'm afraid the owner doesn't have time for situations like this." "Situations like what, Mr. Lewis?" Camille asked smoothly. Garrett paused. "Look," he said, lowering his voice again. "It's nothing personal, but we have rules here. If you can't follow them, I'll have to ask you to leave." Camille inhaled slowly. "Fine," she said. "I'll leave, but I'll be back." Garrett shrugged, already turning away. "Come back when you can actually shop," he said under his breath. Camille left the boutique with quiet dignity. She wasn't angry. She was determined. Later that afternoon, Garrett was overseeing inventory updates when the front door chimed again. This time, when he looked up, his expression froze. Camille walked in, no longer dressed casually but in a tailored navy blue suit that radiated authority. At her side were two attorneys, including her business partner, Ethan Rhodes, a formidable lawyer known for his meticulous attention to detail. A small entourage followed, including representatives from her investment firm. Garrett's face drained of color. For a moment, he didn't recognize Camille. But as their eyes locked, understanding dawned, and with it, a deep sense of dread. "Good afternoon," Camille said as she approached. "I believe you mentioned the owner wouldn't waste their time on someone like me." Garrett opened his mouth to speak, but nothing came out. "I'm Camille Johnson," she continued, "the new owner of this boutique." The staff, customers, and even a few bystanders outside turned to watch. The atmosphere shifted from casual curiosity to stunned silence. Ethan stepped forward, producing documents that confirmed the change in ownership. "Effective immediately, we'll be reviewing store operations," he said. "There are serious concerns about customer treatment and management practices." Garrett stood motionless, his earlier arrogance replaced by naked fear. I didn't know," he stammered. "I made a mistake." Camille regarded him coolly. "You made assumptions. You dismissed and humiliated me without cause. And you've likely done the same to countless others." "Please," Garrett begged. "I'll change. Give me a chance." Camille considered him for a long moment before offering an ultimatum. "Resign now, or I will terminate your employment." Garrett's shoulders slumped. He signed the resignation paperwork with shaking hands. In the days that followed, Camille met with the staff, assuring them their jobs were safe, but that a new era was beginning, one defined by respect, inclusivity, and integrity. She promoted from within, selecting managers who demonstrated empathy and leadership. Among them was Alicia, a bright young associate who had long felt overlooked but now found herself helping to lead the store into its next chapter. The boutique underwent a transformation, not just aesthetically but in spirit. Camille expanded their inventory to be more inclusive in sizing, style, and price point. She partnered with local artists and minority-owned brands. A feedback system was implemented, ensuring customers and employees had a voice. Garrett, meanwhile, took time away to reflect. Months later, he returned, this time as a customer. Nervous, but genuine, he apologized once more. Camille accepted his apology with grace, though she made it clear the store's new values were non-negotiable. Under Camille's leadership, the boutique became a model of what modern luxury could be: exclusive in quality, but inclusive in community. Customers of all backgrounds now felt welcome, their experiences elevated not just by the products on display but by the respect they were shown. The store, once a symbol of exclusion, became a beacon of change. And for Camille Johnson, this was only the beginning.